those COVID shots? You did? How many? Four? Four.
Yeah.
Holy.
I have one to give you.
I know all the protection. What if it's not? It's not
All cat gun.
Reserve.
Oh, thank you. They're on board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a choice, but unless you got forced to get it.
Yeah, we're gonna sing to you. Great.
Scammon County Redevelopment Agency regular meeting January 9th, 2024, 5:25 p.m. Please turn your cell phone to vibrate, silence, or the off setting. Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 2 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman. Was there approval of publication?
Yes, the CRA meeting has been properly published through the Escambia Sun Press on January 4th, 2024.
Thank you. Are there any speakers for public forum?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Thank you. Technical and public service?
Yes, recommendation concerning Community Redevelopment Agency meeting minutes, December 7th, 2023.
Board Chair, entertain a motion.
Move the minutes. Second.
Please vote by raising your hand. That passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Budget and finance?
Yeah, we have two for your approval, A and B. First one is recommendation concerning the cancellation of residential rehab grant program liens. And the second one is recommendation concerning the residential roof program funding and lien agreement.
Any speakers, Mr. Chairman?
Do we have any speakers?
No speakers.
But before you make the motion, Commissioner Regas, and certainly most of us have CRAs in our district. I certainly want to make sure every project, roofing project, electrical wiring as we have, that it's communicated through my office upon start and upon completion of that, and making sure that we communicate that through my office.
Okay.
I want to be a part of any project in the CRA that happens in my district.
Okay. We will do.
And so please communicate that, and if there's an issue with that happening, please come directly to me.
Okay. We'll do.
Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Please vote. Pass unanimous. Thank you so much. Are there any items for discussion?
No discussions from our panel. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Is there anything for the good of the order? Commissioners?
No, sir.
If not, we stand adjourned. Commissioner Berry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, and we will begin at 5:30. Can't begin early. Thanks.
Can't believe I got you over that early. Everett, would you please make time to get with my office to go over every project that we've completed in the CRA and to make sure that we have those, rehab, roofing, and the whole 9 yards? Okay, thank you.
Being 5:30, go ahead and call this meeting to order. January 9, 2024, Ernie Lee McGaha Building. First floor, please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or offsetting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. Speaker will be limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairperson to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers, please refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protest, or any other conduct which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion will be limited to board members and questions raised by those board members. For the invocation this evening, Pastor Jeff McKee from Victory, thank you for coming down. And if you would please rise from the Victory Assembly of God, Molina.
Thank you, Commissioner. Father, we're thankful today to gather into this house to conduct business in your name. Lord, the psalmist David said, "Let the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O God, my strength and my redeemer." I pray tonight, Lord, that the business, the words of every individual here, every commissioner, every staff member, every citizen, Lord, would be pleasing in your sight. Lord, we pray over every commissioner and staff member. We pray, Lord, that you would grant them wisdom and direction to be pleasing to you in everything that they do. Jesus, you told us that the greatest commission was to love you with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, the greatest commandment. And the second was to love our neighbors ourselves. I pray, Lord, that that would be done throughout this meeting tonight. We ask the Almighty to bless mightily in this place. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Commissioner Bender, you please do the pledge.
Please join me in pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance
Thank you again for making the trip, Pastor. Appreciate the endeavor. Not quite as far as my brother's house, but it's pretty close. So appreciate you coming. Is there anything to be added to the agenda, Madam Counsel?
No, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I believe I had one discretionary item. I believe it's been distributed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Crowley?
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Robert?
No, sir, it's been distributed.
None. Wes? None. All right. Entertain a motion to adopt as amended.
Second.
Please vote. How are we voting? Okay. Gotcha. Looking good. Perhaps. All right. Lucky. Item passes 5-0. Commissioners Forum, Commissioner May, it's been a while. It's been a while since we were convened together, so you've got the floor.
Commissioner Berry, it's been a while since I've seen you, at least since last year. It's great, and it's awesome to see all of my colleagues. I certainly want to start with thanking Wes Marino. Wes, we helped a lot of children with toys, and we helped a lot of children and a lot of families, and particularly Oakwood Terrace and housing projects with food, and could not have done it, Wes, without your help. And I certainly want to thank Clara Long and Leroy Williams and all of our staff that made Christmas a special time for the children, and Walker Wilson at Own Bikes, and Sue Strong at Community Caring, to see the young people that were there. I share this story that we were able to take on Christmas Eve some toys to a young lady, and she lives in Oakwood Terrace, and I won't call her real name, but she goes by Kiki, and we took her toys, and when we got there, she had no food. And so we went back and we took her some food, and we gave her some food. We gave her some honey baked hams and a lot of food. And on New Year's Eve, she gave me a call, and she said, "Thank you for the toys and thank you for the food, but my food is being ruined." And I said, "Why is your food being ruined?" She said, "Because my power is out." And when I thought about when I went there Christmas Eve, I didn't hear a TV, I didn't hear anything. And so quickly called Rick Briers at FPL. And Rick, on New Year's Eve, turned this young lady's power on, so her and her children could save their food and enjoy their toys in that. And so oftentimes our municipal utility partner gets beat up, but I want to thank Rick Briers and JT Young for on Christmas Eve, without getting any funds, to turn those lights on. And I want to thank Claire Long for working on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, even when we didn't have to work, to make sure that that family of 6 children in Oakwood Terrace not only had toys and food, but their utilities were turned on after they had been turned off for 6 days. So certainly we don't pay people to do that, but when people go beyond the call of duty, you certainly should acknowledge that. Secondly, certainly we're coming up on the MLK weekend, one of my favorite weekends, and obviously this coming Saturday, we'll have Living the Dream at Brownsville, honoring great people. I'll be honored to present, a proclamation to my dear friend Derek Brooks for his fight for equality and many others. And obviously, we'll be here for the parade on Monday, the prayer breakfast as well on Saturday, as well as the luncheon at Sacred Heart Cathedral Church that St. Joseph Church is having to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and all that he fought for equality. And I encourage all of our friends, no matter who you are, no matter your demographics, no matter your race, no matter your gender, no matter your political party, to recognize the great contributions that Dr. Martin Luther King made to our community. And so I hope that people will join us this weekend in all of the festivities that we are doing to honor Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Burgash.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a minute since our last meeting, and a lot has happened. So first, I want to wish all the constituents and all the folks here tonight a happy New Year. We got a new year. We got a lot going on, and I just hope for the best for everyone here in 2024. A couple big things going on tomorrow. Avondale and District 1, the county is conducting a neighborhood cleanup. It starts at 7 a.m. So if you live in the Avondale community, check our website, myescambia.com, for all the details, but it starts at 7 a.m. I want to thank the CMR department for putting the word out on that. That's a big deal. A lot of folks can get rid of a lot of stuff and help their neighborhood get cleaned up. Also want to point out, next week on the 16th, we have a wounded warrior that lives in District 1 in Beulah, and there is an organization called Helping a Hero. It's funded by Bass Pro Shops and Lennar Homes. A couple of months back, we did the groundbreaking for this wounded warrior and his wife, and this coming week on the 16th, we're going to cut the ribbon on a house that has been paid for by this organization for this American soldier, this American hero. So it's a big deal, and I certainly hope the media will cover it. We have a very generous community, lots of great organizations like Bass Pro Shops and Lennar, and I really look forward to attending that. So that'll be a big deal. I also want to point out, I want to shout out to a citizen. You know, I get a lot of emails, I'm sure my counterparts do as well, about this littering issue. You look at our roadways, our freeways. I just spent a couple weeks in California, and, you know, I just don't see it like I see it in Escambia County. I see 9 Mile Road, I see Beulah Road, I see the interstate. There's trash on both sides of it. We do the best we can. I know Wes has got the inmate crews picking up on our county roadways. The state's got a contractor that goes out. But, you know, it's just a constant issue. So when I see citizens giving up their time and going out year after year after year and cleaning up, I just want to shout out, because there's a citizen in District 1 named Sabine Ahrens, and she constantly goes out and cleans up the area of Mobile Highway and Millview, and she calls us up and says and she sends me pictures. She's got trash bags full of stuff, and we send the crews out to clean it up. So I think it's important to recognize people who care about their neighborhood. I certainly wish folks would not use our streets as a dumping ground. I wish we had stiffer penalties. I mentioned California, they give you a $500 fine if you litter. Guess what? People don't litter. Here, I've asked the question, our attorney says we cannot set that fine at the local level. We're preempted by the state. I think that's something that needs to change, because people are going to keep dumping their Whataburger bags out the window if there's no penalty, right? So, but I thank the people who take it upon themselves to keep their neighborhoods clean. And finally, I want to point out tomorrow, the CEO of Volunteer Florida, Josie Tamayo, will be in Escambia County in District 4, actually, to recognize a great organization in Escambia County with their Champion of Service Award. The Health and Hope Clinic served 11,000 patients last year, 11,000 visits, absolutely free of cost, completely supported by volunteer employees, volunteer doctors, dentists, nurses, and they're being recognized tomorrow in a special ceremony from the CEO, and it's a big deal. The Health and Hope Clinic, I'm proud to say, I've been a supporter for 10 years. This board supports their work, and the great thing about the Health and Hope Clinic is there's no Medicaid reimbursements. In other words, when they give a free visit, there's no backdoor charges that come back to the county. So all those visits don't cost the county taxpayers any money. You may not know it, but the county taxpayers pay about $5 million a year to reimburse Medicaid payments. So anytime we could have an organization that'll give free visits with no Medicaid, any kind of charge to Medicaid, that's a great thing. So I'm very, very proud of that organization and the things that they do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
And Jeff, because we can't talk, if you bring forth, and obviously we got to go within the confines of what the attorney says, anything to control litter.
Yeah.
Because as I go through my district, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible what people are doing. Rather, we're putting a tax, as they do in Michigan, 5 cents to the local convenience stores, or rather we hold people accountable. But we need to have something to give code enforcement and give our public works people, because we can't hire enough people to clean up when people are just throwing their trash out. So if you have an idea, Jeff, bring it forward and you'll find my support.
Well, I appreciate that, Commissioner Berry, or Commissioner May, and I will just say this, you know. Yeah, Freudian slip. You know, Navy Federal Credit Union, God bless them, they have been fantastic on 9 Mile Road. They have adopted the north side. I had a constituent send me an email complaint and said, look, the north side looks fantastic because Navy Federal Credit Union takes care of it, but the south side's a wreck. You know, it's a state road. We got the contractor coming out there, but you know, Allison, I just want to make sure I remember that correctly. We cannot, as this board, institute our own penalty, a harsh penalty. We have to wait for the state to give us permission.
So illegal littering, particularly along state highways, is preempted to the state of Florida. There is a delegation that would allow us to delegate to our code enforcement that they can assist in enforcing state litter laws. That does not flow over to arrest powers, but that does allow them to do some code enforcement for violations of the state litter law, but we can't set the penalties.
So we could not, this board cannot vote a $500 penalty for throwing
But
your...
Allison, not on state roads, can't we do it on county roads?
The state, the state essentially, in my opinion, I can certainly take a look to see if anything has changed in the last couple of years, but the state has essentially preempted litter along the highways. I would say that we can't come up with our own penalty scheme, but we can delegate to code enforcement to have extra boots on the ground that can help enforce the state
But what could they
litter
do?
laws.
If they can't arrest, they can't issue a ticket, what could they do?
But Jeff, but on state roads, but I'm saying on our county roads, what's our power on a county road?
I think it's going to be the same thing, other than if you can do code enforcement matters on private properties, you know,
Okay.
where you could have liens.
Yeah. Well, it's an issue in all our districts. We got to
But,
find a better way.
Jeff, and maybe we incentivize it. I mean, if there are neighborhood associations that's picking up 1,000 pounds of litter, that we give that neighborhood association some money for doing it. I mean, because you can't put that on your staff to go out and pick it up. I mean, the most frustrating thing for me is that we got a road crew that's out cutting grass and they're cutting up paper.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people deserve to live in a clean neighborhood. So I don't know what the answer is, Jeff. I know it is a big problem. I came across Hancock today, where my mother lives, over the railroad track, and it was horrible. Yeah. I mean, it's trash everywhere. I mean, and so we need to have some type of implementation of a plan.
One of the things that was brought to my attention, and I ran it by Wes, and I know it'd be a tough one to get to, but a lot of dumps don't allow non-tarped loads to come in. Because non-tarped loads, stuff flies out. And you notice Pine Forest Road in my district, 9 Mile Road in my district, Beulah Road, partially in Commissioner Berry's district, it's littered with stuff. I mean, it's stuff flying out of trucks, stuff flying out of, frankly, some of the trucks that take stuff from the transfer station to the dump. So it's an acute problem, particularly on the route to the dump. Maybe if we instituted a load tarping requirement, that could help. I know there's tremendous resistance to that. No one wants to do it, but so we got to do something to get a handle on it, Wes. It's really a problem. They're burning up my phones. I understand, putting signs out is nice, but it doesn't work. People are going to they only work if you have a fine associated with it, like in California. It's amazing. They don't have any litter because they have a $500 fine.
But Jeff, I mean, what happens is you incentivize the person that sent you that email. I can tell you, Gabe Smith, I have people in my district that every morning on their walk, they're incentivized because they're picking up paper. And maybe we give them a picker, maybe we give them some gloves, maybe we give them some bags to help them clean their neighborhoods. I think that there are other innovative ways other than penalties and, fines. That, that people pay. But anyway, Jeff, I do want to tell you that, I'm a big a community health supporter and Health and Hope and the work that Community Health and Health and Hope are doing for the underserved. I mean, we had somebody talk about medical jail today. The people that get out of our jail, they go to Health and Hope and they go to Community Health. And so we got to be able to support those organizations. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Coleman.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I couldn't echo more with what Commissioner Bergar said. I actually sent an email before I came down here. We're literally a subdivision across from us, a Lumen, that wants to develop, and they sent literally pictures of couches and chairs and trash bags, and so I'm trying to change the messaging. You guys know that. I put up signs. I put out buses to ride around the town. I'm trying to get people to do that. I'll say the same thing, Black Sheep Automotive, Ocean Hour. They're out there picking up all the time. I'm with Charles Bear on Keep Pensacola Beautiful, but it's just hard to believe, honestly. I don't get it either. But I will say this, I disagree. On both the signs and on the buses, there's a Florida state statute that you can fine up to $5,000. And we put that on there for a reason, is to hopefully be a deterrent. I know it's probably not deterring anything, but it is a statute that says that we can fine. And I checked with Tim when we put that up there, so on the signs and the bus. So there's something out there that says we can fine from the statute.
I don't think we
There
can
are
do that.
different levels. There's illegal dumping.
Right.
As illegal dumping, which is actually, there are felony levels of that,
Yes.
which come with larger
Sure,
fines and that
but
sort of
the Whataburger bags and the plastic cups, we can't fine someone $5,000.
No.
Mike,
No.
no way.
No, I know that.
I wish we'd fine them 500, because one ticket, they would stop.
No, I get that.
People would stop.
But like, for example, 57th, I've had an issue out there where they dropped 200 tires off.
Yeah, well, they should be.
Yeah, that's definitely a $5,000 fine. And battery, yeah, so I get it, but hopefully we can come up with something, because I agree, people want to live in a beautiful place, and they shouldn't deserve to drive through trash every day. Had a good night the other night, a blessing of the floats. Danny did a great job. I think he slighted the county a little bit, but it was all in good taste. We gave him a hard time for it, but he did a great job, and I know 3 of us were there, and it was a lot of fun. I want to highlight what Commissioner May said on the community. One person, Hassan Hills, I had the opportunity to do some stuff with him with Christmas toys and just some of the tougher areas of District 2. He just does a wonderful job at Lexington Manor, Flaxman Street. It's one of the roughest areas in my district. It's just, we should be blessed, but he was out there working hard, and all those kids got toys in that neighborhood, and it's a mobile home park. So I want to say thanks to Hassan for his engagement and doing what he does for the county. Looking forward to MLK this weekend. I'll be there at the prayer breakfast and the parade. I unfortunately can't make Lumen's thing because I'm going to be at the Phil Am induction that night. But can only be at so many places, but looking forward to it. And I think that's, I'm looking forward to a new year, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you. Commissioner Bender?
Thank you. I know we talked a little bit about this in December, but, and I did this last year, and I'll do it again, but to remember the fallen and honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. That's the mission of Wreaths Across America. And now through January 16th, they are, I don't know if they're exactly matching your donation, but some percentage of your donation, it's either 1-to-1 or 50%. And so if you're interested in purchasing wreaths, contact Martin Haygood with the Big Lagoon Kiwanis Foundation. So again, it's a way to stretch the local dollars and bring more wreaths. I know they try to get one on every tombstone. So also, I want to recognize Roland Kumin. He's a 30-year military veteran who's making a difference in the lives of the students at Myrtle Grove and Sherwood Elementary Schools. I think he was featured in a WAR segment in the last couple weeks. But since 2012, Mr. Kumin has provided backpacks filled with food for the students to take home on Friday to ensure that they have something to eat over the weekend. And so far, he's provided over 250,000 meals to students. So I just wanted to recognize his efforts for that. There was the rain on Friday caused some bricks in the crosswalk of the beach to come out. So I want to thank the Beach Public Works. I found out about it early the next morning, and within a couple hours, they had fixed it and patched it with some asphalt. But that is a project that we have on the books to be repaired this next couple months. I think we sort of kind of locked in the pricing back in November. And of course, we'd been talking about it before then, but there is a lot going on at the beach, either with events or other construction that ECUA is doing. But we do anticipate doing that in the next few months, and that will fix the problem. So I appreciate all the calls and notices that we got about it, but we're aware of it and plan to fix it in the next few months. And then in a similar regard, I'd like to have Eric come up and just talk a little bit about the events this morning. And I want to say thank you to our public safety, fire, EMS, public works, and correction employees who worked last night and early this morning in response to the low-pressure weather event that went through our area. And really just as we started to get those reports, I mean, we staffed up, so we had extra crews ready to roll in certain areas. So, Eric?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I'm happy to give you guys an update and let you know what happened last night. Days running together now. So, started yesterday afternoon or yesterday morning when we had our meeting with our community partners and our staff and public safety and our county employees. And when we have those meetings, I can't tell you how proud it makes me when we have those people in the room to make those decisions and show up when we get ready to make those plans. God forbid we need to go extreme, but we had a catastrophic plan in place, and you never want to use it, but you want to be prepared as much as you can. So we had our community partners in the room and come up with a game plan throughout the night. We got the timing down. The school district met. We closed schools on the area of safety because there was transportation issues in the morning, and we sure don't want to see a bus on the side of the road or on its side or something, because that's not something we want to do. But all our community partners showed up. We had our meetings. We come up with our strategy, our game plans, and then we upstaffed EMS, fire, and emergency management stayed throughout the night to monitor the storm. We was out about 12 o'clock checking the bridges with wind anemometers, so we can see what real time what the wind was blowing, because you kind of want to check and see if mobile weather is giving you accurate information. So that's what we did throughout the night. And then when the storm started coming in, the squall line as it come through at 5:30, we started seeing the storms fire up to the east of us, and we didn't get the brunt of what that storm could have given us. Panama City, you saw the pictures today of Panama City with the tornadoes, the marinas, Mariana, Jackson County. Those people took the brunt of some of those tornadoes. I don't think there was any loss of life, but there was loss of property, and that's traumatic in itself. As soon as we cleared our county, we did have one house take a tree on top of it. 2 individuals were taken to the hospital for precautionary measures, no injuries pretty much. And then we had localized flooding, a little bit of flooding in the area, a lot of limbs down, and a lot of power lines down. And I too want to thank Rick Byers, because I called him this morning because we had Perdita Key Drive shut down for a long period of time, and then we needed to get the pole up and going, and I called Rick, and he sent a power crew out there as quick as he could to get that up so we can get that roadway open. So it's those partnerships right there. It just says a lot about what we do and who we are. And so the crew stayed up all night. We got everything assessed and got everything put back in Escambia County by about 10 o'clock. And the state watch office or state emergency management called us up and says, hey, they really took the brunt of the tornadoes to the east of you. Could you send a tactical rescue team if needed be? And we stood up and called Administrator Moreno, and he authorized to go ahead if we needed to move east and go help our partners to the east. They didn't call us. They called some other assets in. That's fine, but we were ready to go. So that's what it's all about, sending help. And then, because there will be days we might need help, God forbid, but we want to be sure we can stand and help others to our east in our state of Florida. I do want to say thank you to the media. Our local media. I'm not saying it because Dave's here and, Cat Country and those guys. But no, they did a phenomenal job before. I was on the Andrew McKay show giving an update. I was on Rick Allison this morning and yesterday giving updates and following through. Scotland Williams was on there. We was on WEAR. Getting that message out, because we don't want our citizens to be complacent. We want them to be prepared as possible and be ready to brunt the storm with us and make sure they can respond and recover themselves as well. So, but thank you.
And I just say, I'm sure some people might question what all the hype was about. And I know as we enter the season, we're probably going to be getting a lot of these in the next few weeks.
We got one Friday coming in, by the way.
Okay.
So
there's your first warning. But again, in terms of schools, 5:30 is when kids start standing at those bus stops. So, that's what you have to think, step back and think about the kids that are going to be standing outside in the weather. And what hit Panama City, it was actually about the same time as the line was moving through here. It was some pop-up cell or that was ahead of the storm, and that could have easily been us earlier in the night. So, of course, we're thinking about our friends to the east and hope they're doing well. But I just really wanted to recognize everyone that stepped up last night and know that we were prepared and plan to be moving forward. So.
No, absolutely. And anytime I can brag about our public safety staff, I want to do that because they did a phenomenal job. Our men and women were there to drop of a hat, to include our dispatchers who stood up and took all the 911 calls, all the down power lines, all the trees, all the limbs, and our fire crews and our EMS crews running out there doing the responses. So our, public safety, like I said, clicking on all cylinders and making it happen. So
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then finally, I just want to thank Representative Andrade. He got me a pass into the gallery today to watch the State of the State by the governor and the beginning of session. Of course, there have been hundreds of bills that have been filed in the last week. I think Senate President Pasadomo said it best. Some of them are good. So we'll be over there finding a lot of that in these next coming weeks as session does get started, and hopefully bring some stuff back to Escambia County, but really protect home rule. So, thank you, Mr.
Well, I'm glad you're in the gallery. I just need a fair election in 2024, sir.
Ensuring a fair election, is that what you said, buddy? Thank you, Robert. Very briefly, I just want to mention two folks that had passed since the last time we were together. One of which is a friend of a number of ours on the board. Dean Baird passed away on Christmas Eve, and I know Dean was a friend of a number of ours for many, many years. I don't know that anyone would represent the statement of doing it his way. Maybe his friend, maybe his friend he lost a few years ago, Fred Levin. But I mean, Dean did it his way, did it all his way.
He did it all his way. Commissioner
all
Barry,
his way.
when you're saying that, I know you and Dean were very close, and from a kid on, I was very dear friends with Fred Levin and Dean. I want to publicly say to his sister Jane how much I do support the naming of the boardwalk behind Dean Baird. And I know that's politically unpopular, but I know what Dean did for Portofino. I know what he did for Pensacola Beach. I know what he did for the towers, and I publicly support that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was politically unpopular, but I think it's a fine idea. And I hope that the issue is being moved forward through the SRA for the boardwalk, as well as a plaque with a bronze bust to go there at the clamshell. There's folks that are, we're all flawed in our own ways, in myself many ways, but, we're all flawed in our own ways, and Dean may have been, but he was also a visionary. And, the idea for, you mentioned the towers, Tristan Towers, I mean, that was the original, that was the vision. And then the boardwalk, not long after that. Yeah, the service was last week, and I was, very sorry to hear he passed. It was good to be able to spend a little bit of time with him, before that in the holidays. So that was nice. But also Ann Peterson on January 2nd. Some of you may recognize the name. Ann Peterson. She was at a board meeting not long ago. It was a very sudden passing. She was at the board meeting. It was either in November or early December. She's a 4-H, State of Florida 4-H Hall of Fame member. She gave 50 years of her life to volunteering in 4-H. She really did a lot of work on the equine side with youth and horses and those kind of activities. And she was an advocate for 4-H. And like I said, she had a son, I believe a son and a daughter-in-law that were here towards the end of the year, and she seemed very healthy. I was shocked when I got the phone call that she had passed. Last week. It was just shocking. So she was, you talk about a visionary on the island. She was a visionary. She had a vision for 4-H and a vision for what, for developing youth. And there's no telling the thousands of young people and their thousands of young people's lives that she interacted and affected in a positive way. And she did it all the way up until this fall. And it's just shocking to hear that. So that will be something that I would think a proclamation come through the board, at some point in time this spring. But like I said, it wasn't too long ago she was inducted in the Florida 4-H Hall of Fame, as well as winning a statewide volunteer award in 2019 through the 4-H Foundation. So just thoughts and prayers go out to Ann's family, friends and family, many, many friends and family. But our guests, want to thank you for indulging the board. We haven't been together for a month, or maybe a couple days over a month, so we had a lot to talk about. Entertain
Mr. Chairman?
proclamations. Yes, sir.
And just, I know what Ann did for your district, but I do want to acknowledge her family, for one thing, the inclusion. I mean, and so District 3 we're not really 4-H people, but she really work to be very inclusive of making sure that children that I represent get the opportunity, you know, to milk a cow and rub a horse. And so we appreciate what she did. And so whatever you bring forth for her, you'll find me very supportive.
Yeah, if you recall, it was maybe a year ago, we had I want to say a 40-something-year employee that retired out of Extension, and Ann was one of the people that spoke at that, you know, that spoke at that retirement party. Because they had worked together 40 years through that. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, I know you're recognizing, I do have one concern that's kind of been, and I think I know the answer. It's the reduction of routes for our ECAT, and I know that Rodriguez is here.
Okay.
So I'd publicly like for Rodriguez to come and
please.
explain, I mean, the reduction of routes and why we reduced them and what are we doing and the impact to people who don't have transportation.
Board. So reduction of routes, when I hear reduction of routes, the last reduction in route happened in 2020, March 2020. There has not been a reduction in route since that actually occurred, which was at that time was the Route 41 in the East Pensacola Heights area. In the East Pensacola Heights area, that was one of the low ridership routes. But again, after the comprehensive operational analysis, what has happened is we are actually looking at a way where we can accommodate every pocket of the community that has not been serviced with public transit. And as I said before, when it comes to microtransit, what that does is that takes those large vehicles out of the different neighborhoods, and it allows us to be able to have smaller vehicles, which will have to be purchased. Right now, currently, if you look in December, you guys approved for us to be able to purchase 9 more small vehicles. That'll allow us to begin to do more of an on-demand service, what actually picks our citizens up there at their homes, bring them out to the major corridors like your 9th Avenue, like your Davis Highway, your Pensacola Boulevard, and get those bigger buses now, getting them more at a rapid pace versus now currently, if you want to get from point A to point B and back from point B to point A, it actually takes you about 2 hours. With microtransit, it actually limits that. It's more at a rapid pace. It gets you more down into the 30-minute per trip limit. That's what we're working for. Again, when I look at the fiscal impact that it actually takes, it'll, number one, we'll have to purchase more smaller vehicles. We'll have to purchase the actual software to be able to do on demand. And me and the staff there, and again, the staff there that I have there now, we've been working diligently and looking in ways to make that happen. It'll be an agenda item to actually come here really, really soon, and which will allow us to purchase the actual on demand software. For the past 4 months, we've been looking for the right company. We have done so many demos. Again, kudos to the staff. But
You're doing a good job. So I can just be clear because I want our media friends and our citizens to know. No citizens have been impeded by the lack of transportation availability by the county. That's what I want to
no, sir.
clarify.
No, we still have our Escambia
If I
County
may,
community.
I mean, we have had to not do the beach run a number of days.
So that's actually, again, I fielded a question in regards to that. The actual Route 64, which is the beach jumper, during the holidays, which was December 25th, that weekend of December 25th, and before there, we stopped there because the actual Route 64 is actually for our service members. So our service members, which were on Exodus at that time, which I did go out to Corey Station. I met with the chief, the master chief there and everything to make sure that we were doing the right thing, because I didn't want to leave anyone out. Anyone else who wanted to get out to the beach, they actually still had their service. But the Route 64, which is called the express route, that express route, we only stopped it for just the weekends, which that's when it actually runs. And that was only because there were no service members that was there because of Exodus. So that's something I took into account. Actually, truly being a veteran myself, that's something I take pride in.
Are you good with that, Robert? Because I know it was a lot of
Yeah, I
time.
am. I didn't know if that's what you were trying to.
Yeah.
Because those were the emails that were coming out. That
And I
service had
saw
been
them,
suspended
and there were
and
concerns
stuff
about
like
that.
so.
I mean, the only person I know going to the beach is the future mayor, Alex Smith. So, I mean, I really wasn't concerned about that. I just want to make sure that people can get to work.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes, sir.
I want people to get to the beach, and I support him. But people that provide essential services, that need to get to work, they get to medical, we can't deny them the opportunity to have public transportation. The leisure is one thing. Essentials is another. And so that's why I just want to make sure that people have their essential needs met through our public transportation. And by the way, if we can provide trolleys and help people for their leisure, so be it. But I mean, we got to make sure that people are getting to work and people are getting to their medical appointments.
Well, I just want to say again, board, and I thank you for that, Commissioner. I'm looking for all of you guys' support as we continue to just try to drive towards excellence, because again, my whole goal being from this community is for us to, number one, provide the best public transit system in the state of Florida. I would like us to be an award-winning transit agency, and we're doing everything we can there to reach that goal.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Chairman.
And then, just on the East Pencil Heights, did you see that email?
Yes, sir. I did respond back to Councilman Moore.
Oh,
I did
okay.
not CC you
No,
on
yeah,
that. I just,
okay.
I did respond back, letting them know. I even sent them all the detailed information on what that route used to look like.
Perfect.
And actually where we are right now.
And then, yeah, talking about the, what you just talked about with the smaller buses and everything like that,
Yes,
that'll
sir.
probably help them too, so I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Thank you, Rodriguez.
Thanks, Robert. Maybe we get more bike trails for Alex and he won't have to get on the bus.
Perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah, maybe.
Entertain a motion for the proclamations.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, please vote. All right, let's vote again.
Board, I'm sorry, nothing's coming through on my end.
All in favor? Please vote by raising your hand. Item passes 5-0. Goodness. If Nikki and Trishonda might make their way forward, the first proclamation is going to be adopting the proclamation commending and congratulating Edward Spainhour in his selection as Employee of the Month for January 2024. And you have the floor, Nikki.
So you might notice Ed's not with us tonight. Unfortunately, we've been preparing this for about 2 weeks, and Ed came down very sick today. But we just didn't want to let the opportunity pass to acknowledge him publicly. Stepping into the role as interim director, I knew I was stepping into a great team. Having the first Employee of the Month of 2024 just really reiterates that for me. I've worked with Ed in various capacities over the years, and he always does his job with the utmost integrity. And just in the few weeks that I've been in HR, he has gone above and beyond with his research and his training, and I'm excited to roll out some of those ideas in 2024. So I don't want to take a lot of your time. This is his immediate supervisor, Ms. Trishonda. She's got a few words, and she's going to read his proclamation.
Sure, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to say that it's a pleasure to have Ed on my team. He is willing to help anyone, anytime, anywhere as needed. He's always a team player. His representation of our employee relations mission, which fosters strong relationships for employees while showing fairness and consistency. So I'll read the proclamation. Whereas Escambia County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent various departments, and whereas Edward Ed Spainhour, Human Resource Specialist in the Employee Relations Divisions of Human Resource Department, began his employment with the county on February 4th, 2014. And is selected for Employee of the Month for January 2024 for the standards of excellence that has displayed in the performance of his duty. And whereas Ed is charged with maintaining employee records, facilitating training opportunities, overseeing all FMLA and ADA processes, and educating county staff on human resource policies and procedures while ensuring compliance with employment laws and fostering positive relationships with employees. And whereas Ed's integrity and commitment to adhere to regulatory county standards is demonstrated by his participation in the progressive disciplinary process as he ensured these tasks are carried with consistency, fairness, and impartiality. And whereas he has taken the initiative in assisting in the implementation of policy changes, instructed a variety of training sessions for county staff, developed necessary standard operating procedures for Employee Relations Division, and play an active role in internal investigations. And whereas Ed has also aided in the development of fellow employee relation team members throughout mentorship and continue to help advance the goals and improve the processes of the Human Resource Department with innovative ideas and dictating dispositions. And whereas Ed is also a citizen of Escambia County, assisting elderly residents with their community upkeep and curb appeal, providing transportation for their medical appointments, and contributing financially to households and unemployed people. And whereas, as a veteran himself, Ed donates his time and money to disabled veterans through organizations such as AmVets, American Legions, Disabled Vets of America, and the Coast Guard Foundation. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida commends and congratulate Edward Spainhour in his selection as Employee of the Month for January 2025, or 24. Ooh, I'm trying to get to 2025, sorry.
Well,
So
hey,
Ed-
still get service.
Ed did have a few words to say.
Sure.
He's not here,
Please.
so he sent those to us. Our HR staff was going to be here. We told them they didn't have to stay since Ed was not here, but he was going to thank the HR staff. He wanted to thank the board, the county administrator, and the administrative staff that he works with and for. Without the efforts, the award would not be possible. It's a privilege to work for the citizens and the hardworking employees of Escambia County, and he greatly appreciates the recognition.
Thank you, Nikki.
guys.
Thank you, Trishanda. Very good job reading the proclamation. You must have lost the coin flip. Commissioner Bender, please. And Dave and Mary and the principals in attendance from Cat Country and 98.7. Robert, you've got the floor.
Yeah. All right, so we have everybody? Perfect. Huh?
We're everywhere.
Yeah, you are. Good evening, board, thank you. I have an Escambia County proclamation. Whereas in 1987, Dave and Mary Hoxing applied to the Federal Communications Commission to construct a new radio station in Pensacola. In 2003, construction was completed on a new 100,000-watt, 942-foot tower on 40 acres west of Muskogee, and the FCC license was issued. The new FM radio station, WYCT, now known as Cat Country 98.7, was built to serve the greater Pensacola area. WYCT made its debut as Christmas Radio 98.7 in November 2003 and switched to pre-recorded country music on December 26, 2003. Live broadcasting started in January 2004 with an on-air personalities Cindy Anderson, Kevin King, Charlie Crabb, and Denver Leonard. WYCT was the first radio station in Florida to broadcast in high-quality digital HD radio. And whereas WYCT Cat Country 98.7 is a standout among broadcasting companies as they are family-owned and operated by Dave and Mary Hoxing. Cat Country is constantly giving back to our community. In November 2023, Cat Country hosted its 9th Miracle on Palafox to raise over $17,000 to support families in need with Christmas wishes through the United Way of West Florida. In August 2023, Cat Country organized and broadcasted with TV partner WEAR the 5th annual Cat Country Cares for Kids Radiothon and raised over $219,000 to benefit the Studer Family Children's Hospital. And whereas in 2023, Cat Country 98.7 aired more than 10,000 public service announcements for nonprofit events and causes. Their on-air personalities broadcasted or emceed dozens of events to help organizations like the Big Brothers Big Sisters Gala, Men Who Cook for Pay Center for Girls. All right, just on the Pay Center for Girls, you know, you guys have won that like the last 2 years too, you know? Pensacola Fireworks on the 4th of July, the USO, and Leadership Pensacola, to name just a few. So yeah, clearly they can cook in addition to doing the radio. Whereas Cat Country 98.7 is one of the most recognized brands in Pensacola. WYCT is the only broadcasting company with 4 PACE Awards presented to its leaders by the Greater Pensacola Chamber. And whereas during the past 20 years, Cat Country has received the Country Music Association's Station of the Year twice, the Academy of Country Music Stations Station of the Year 5 times, the National Association of Broadcasters Friend in Need Award 3 times, and the National Association of Broadcasters Crystal Award 3 times. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida hereby recognizes WYCT Cat Country 98.7 for all their contributions to the citizens of Escambia County, Florida over the past 20 years. Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Stephen Berry, Chairman, District 5, Robert Bender, Vice Chairman, District 4, Jeff Bergosh, District 1, Michael Kohler, District 2, Lumen J. May, District 3.
Thank you all very much. It's really an honor to be here and with our team, which are a bunch of really hardworking people, well, just like you are. And one thing I was thinking as I was sitting, waiting for our opportunity to speak, was that the future of our community really depends on what happens in this room with you all and with our very important staff. And I just want to thank you all for your dedication to making our community better. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I want to personally thank Dave for what you do for LEAP, and every year I get the opportunity to speak to the next generation of leaders because of you and Mary. And so on a personal note, the last time I was with my dear friend Louis Bear was with you and your wife and my wife when we spent that time together, and that moment will always be precious to me. And so, Dave, thank you for your leadership. And on a lighter note, I didn't know that Brent Lane really owned the radio station. I thought it was you. So Brent,
Oh, man, you're giving away secrets now. I think on behalf of our staff, we just want to say that this is very unique. We are a locally owned radio station, and that is very rare in our industry, and it has been the dream of, like for Mel and I, we get to live our dream every day by entertaining and being there and serving the community. And I know Mel got up at 3 o'clock this morning to be ready for a storm that was plowing through the area today, but that's what we get to do on David Mary's dream. So thank you for letting us live our dreams, and we appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Absolutely. Mary, do you have any words, Mary?
Mary,
Yeah.
Mary.
I love public speaking. I just want to say thank you so much. I mean, this has been, for Dave and I, it's been almost a 40-year dream coming to reality, and to be recognized by our community is really what it's all about. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again. And it's great having so many of you people here. And as y'all get ready for your picture, I'll just mention on a personal note, I appreciate your friendship over the last 20 years. So thank you both. Thank you. Thank you again, all our Cat Country folks, as they make their way out. Madam Counsel, written communication?
Absolutely. I did distribute to you guys by email a little earlier today some additional information about the case to maybe help streamline it for this evening. Do anticipate there's a representative that may be here in the audience. I don't know if you have a speaker signed up or not. But
There is a speaker signed up. Board, would y'all like to hear? Yes. I have, we give it a shot. Anna Carolina Lopez, representing Mason Invest. Yes, please, if you'd like to speak. The three. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Sorry, so first of all, I want you to understand me, so English is not my first language, so if you don't understand something I say, please let me know, because for me it's really important that you understand my issue and help help me.
Yeah, you're doing fine. Thank you.
Basically, I'm here to request two liens relief. One is a demolition lien that is attached to a property I bought in December 2022. So when I purchased this property in the tax deed auction, there was a house there. And less than 1 week later, it was teared down by the county, and I wasn't notified. And I found out that there wasn't a house, no longer a house there, when my buyer, a flip company, who was buying the house to do a flip, went to visit the house to take pictures, inside pictures. He was doing his inspection, his due diligence, and he arrived there, no house. I was shocked because I didn't know that was being demolished. I wasn't notified. And there is a Pensacola Code of Ordinance that says that the owner has to sign 2 forms to have a demolition occurring. So one is the demolition permit application. I wasn't notified, so I didn't sign one. Demolition, and also the demolition affidavit. And and I'm here to request this lien relief. It's being, I think, $16,000. And I'm not able to sell the lot. I have people interested in buy the house. I was interested myself to do the renovation, to flip the house, if I didn't find somebody to buy. But I found one, and now I have a lot, and a lot with such expensive lien. I don't find somebody to buy. So I'm here to request this relief. And also, the owner of this house had another house, and all the liens of this house are being charged on me. So basically, all the proceeds of the purchase, it's being applied first on the liens of this house, this other house that I'm not related to that. I bought only Webster, and the owner had as well 2331 Lace. But basically, all the proceeds of my purchase is being applied first for the Lace Circle liens, and then a little amount being applied to the liens of the property I purchased. So for me, it doesn't make sense that, and especially because I don't want, I would be glad to pay liens of a property that is mine, but it's not mine. So basically, I'm being charged for liens of 2 properties. So I'm here to require that all the proceeds of my purchase is applied to the house I bought, and also the demolition.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lopez. And if you might just have a seat, the board may have some questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want me to?
Madam Counsel, yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Lopez, it's my understanding, is representing Maison Investments LLC, who purchased this property at 1145 Webster through the tax deed process. Through the owner violator previous to the tax deed sale, there was a code enforcement process underway at that property. It was properly noticed, and through that process, there was a magistrate's order to do the demolition, which is what she has referred to. And that abatement was done by the county at county expense shortly after the tax deed acquisition by Maison LLC. There is also, as she referenced, a second property that the previous owner/violator had at the time, and so there was a spidering of those code enforcement matters over to this Lacey Circle property, which is 2331 Lacey Circle, and it had a number of liens on that property as well. So when they went through the tax deed process, there was a surplusage of about $4,484, And through the best practices of the way the disbursements work through the clerk's office, that surplusage went to the oldest liens first, which happened to be the ones over on the Lacey Circle property. And I think that's what Ms. Lopez is referencing. There was a special magistrate forgiveness of the administrative fines, all of them related to both properties. And that was a reduction of $4,110 on the Webster property and I think there was some on the Lacey Circle property, but I don't see those referenced here. But there was $4,110 worth of forgiveness already given by the magistrate on the Webster Drive property, but because of the cost of the demolition of the home, there are still significant liens attaching. The Webster Drive property still has $17,226, all in hard costs associated with it. And then the Lacey Circle property has two separate liens, one of which has been taken care of through the surplusage through the tax deed sale on the other property. The other one is still in an amount of $5,472.87. In my opinion, it is within the discretion and authority of the board to reallocate those, if you wish, over to the Webster Drive lien, but still there is a significant amount of liens outstanding, most of which are, it looks as though almost all of which are hard costs.
Okay, so the 547287 is a hard cost on Lacey?
There was a $4,900 abatement, a $235 court cost. There were $3,325 of administrative fines on Lacey Circle, which were not forgiven by the magistrate, but $3,302.13 of surplusage overflowed from the tax deed sale to the Lacey Circle, as well as an additional $1,182.50 on a different lien at Lacey Circle from the surplusage.
I mean, I don't know if you want me to just say, but I would apply it towards the property.
The one from Lacey on the Webster, is that what you're thinking?
The ones that were applied to Lacey should be applied to Webster.
I agree 100%. So that would be, that's exactly what I was going to suggest. So that would reduce the abatement to, I'm thinking somewhere around 12,700. Is that, I think it's somewhere around that. But
So I think the two surplusages amounts that went over to Lacey appear to total $4,484.63, and the total amount outstanding on Webster is $17,226. There will be some administrative amounts that would be due to the clerk's office for processing, but generally speaking, that your number sounds close to what it would be.
All right, so is that,
Not that I'm aware.
just a minute, Ms. Lopez. You can come to the front and have a seat, but just wait a minute to come to the podium. Mike?
I just, well, I'd ask Lieutenant Davis, do you have any comments? I think it'd be worth hearing what you have to say as well.
Yes, sir. The board would definitely consider taking the overages from the Lacey properties. The total amount would be reduced to $12,741 for the Webster Drive.
Just, Terrence, out of curiosity, so how long between the purchase through the tax deed sale and how long was the time period between there and the demo?
6 or 7 days, I believe. 7 days, 12
days. Okay. Okay.
The tax deed sale was on December 5 of 2022. The demolition occurred and was photographed on December 13 of 2022.
At its heart, there's something that's, it's not a point for the, it's not necessarily a point for this issue, but just going forward, there's something that at its heart I don't like about that. You know, I mean, that doesn't seem fair. Notice was given to the previous person, and I know that tax deed sales, I know there are, please, Ms. Lopez, I know that comments are made. I mean, I know that we do everything the way that we're supposed to do it legally. I don't dispute that at all. I'm sure there's fine print that says, buyer beware, et cetera. But, I mean, I don't know what measure of awareness it takes to understand that a certain property is going to be demolished within, a calendar week of your acquisition. I don't know what level of awareness that would be.
The
Does that-
special magistrate's order allowing the demolition was recorded. So with an
so it was-
appropriate title search, it should have been discovered.
Yeah, Ms. Lopez, please. Ms. Lopez, please. Ms. Lopez, please. And I'm not even real, I don't know if people are doing title searches or not, but I guess my point is when the property comes up, I mean, if we have one that has a pending magistrate's order, couldn't that be an addendum to the, like put an asterisk by the property and say, hey, we have a pending magistrate's order for demolishing this property? That would seem, I mean, I'm not saying legally, just in good faith of working with our citizens, that seems fair. I don't like the dynamic of what happened in this
Commissioner Berry,
situation.
I agree with you, but, long before my years of service, I bought a lot of tax deed properties, but in red, honestly, on the description, it's always a big sign that says beware.
Yeah, I get that.
But I agree with you. I mean, it should be probably more clearly defined.
I don't know how many, I mean, and if it's, maybe it's 80% of them, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, how many of the properties that are going up for tax deed sale have definitive magistrate orders that have been given that have not been acted on yet?
Right, and they can't stop it at that point.
No.
Right,
And,
yeah, I
and,
agree.
and if they go.
I agree with that.
But if they do go to look at the property, hypothetically, if they go to look at it, they would see a home there, or a structure of some sort. And, I mean, I
They
don't
think
know.
that they think that they could save, because unfortunately, many of them that you tear down, I mean, I'm in the restoration business, many homes that are torn down, you really could save. So I kind of know where you're going, Commissioner.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how this doesn't specifically, I mean, things were in place at the time that all of these transactions took place, and I don't dispute the validity of any of those things. Going forward, it doesn't seem like it seems like we could do a little bit, a skosh more to be, to try to be protective. I mean, is it 10% that are going forward on tax deeds that have pending magistrate orders that haven't been completed? It's some number. It's not, it wouldn't seem like the majority. Anyway, whatever, Mike, whatever you want to do as far as dealing with this is okay with me. I don't have an issue with it. So.
I have just one question. Is there a notice placed on the property before demolition? I think there was on First Avenue when we did that one.
We don't specifically post ahead of time other than, permits that are required. But one of the things I would like to point out, a number of years ago when we switched to My Government Online, all of these code enforcement records are publicly available during, if they did their own title search or if they had a title search company do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know how to use that. So, to be honest with you, buddy. So,
I don't even care how to use it. But I mean, Tim, this would be my question. So there's nothing that's posted, like, I know when code enforcement cited my property, they put a big pretty sign in front of my property. So they don't put a sign out in front of it at all?
Go ahead and answer it.
Yes, we do have a final notice of demolition posted to every property before demo.
So it's out, how long does it sit out there?
Well, that's, the contractors typically have a period of time, a window of time to get the abatement in. So depending on whether it's taken down, ripped off, in a lot of occasions, the notice does stay there.
But I mean, I guess my question is, when I have an overgrowth on my property or I have something, you'll post a sign that says, you know what, by code
Oh,
enforcement.
no, notice is posted from statutorily, everything is done. Property is posted prior to hearing, property is posted after the hearing.
With a
and then
physical
when it comes to the
posting.
abatement, physical posting, when it comes to abatement of that process, we give final notice of demolition, as posted to the property as well as mailed to the owner.
Certified?
Yes, certified.
So you have the certified letters that you sent to the owner?
Yes, we'll get those. We don't have them here, but we get those notices sent off.
But see what
It's part of our abatement process.
When you've got a title transfer that takes place in that interim time, you've got notices being sent to John Doe, and the property is now in possession of Jane Doe. So
Right,
you cross.
yeah.
Tim, let me ask you a question real quick. I know you fairly well. I know you're a pretty fair guy. What do you think? I mean, would you give a little bit of thought about how the county could try to avoid this type of situation happening in the future? It just doesn't. Again, legally, I don't question anything. I'm just saying, as public servant, it doesn't seem great.
No, I understand, and it's ultimately, I can look and see what I can do with the clerk's office to see if there's a mechanism in which we can help highlight a little more.
Yeah, maybe we, I don't know if it's just more information or if we actually, suspend tax deed sales for properties that have, that have pending magistrate orders or something.
Right.
I don't know. I
But
don't know
Steve,
exactly what it is.
I mean, Commissioner,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not sending out the notice, the clerk sends it out, right? Correct?
Well,
For tax deed, it comes through.
So how long does it take for the clerk to send it out? In this transition that Commissioner Berry is talking about, how long does it take the clerk office to send it out? And what's the time frame?
So I don't know that time frame. I can certainly find out, and they can
Gotta be
certainly
longer than
work
a
with the
week. I
clerk
don't know
to
what
see
it
if we
is.
can.
Yeah,
It's gotta be
but
longer.
but that's pertinent. I mean, that would be in, how long did it take for it to go out?
And I'm sorry.
Because it's out of your hand, Tim. I mean, I'm helping you. I mean, it's out of your
No.
hand. It's in the hands of the clerk.
And that's part of why we, rely so much on My Government Online, because it's very open to the public, at least for those who are doing this type of transaction.
Well, Tim, I'm gonna tell you for my district, and I'm gonna stop you there. I'm not relying on My Government Online, because people that's losing property in my district don't go online. It's just bottom line, and they losing property every day. I'm no disrespect, I'm not interested in online.
All right,
I mean,
Commissioner-
it needs to be physical for my constituents.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Bender and then Commissioner Kohler.
Thank you. So Tim, it says in some of the notes that we have that on August 2nd, 2022, the proceed to bid for demolition was issued. And then the next thing I have is that demolition occurred. So like, when was a bid accepted, or when was the order signed, or when did we pull the permit to demo it, or that doesn't, I mean, I understand, how quickly did they work, or,
Yeah, it's in the system.
Oh.
It's one of the other things,
Oh, look,
Commissioner, it's,
the
anyone can also.
person with all the answers is coming up.
Yep, he's pulling.
What's up, Jenny? Oh, thank you. Now we got the answer.
Permit was pulled on November 30th,
November 30th.
and it was demolished on December 5th. 29th,
The,
November 29th. Inspected for pre-demo on November 30th,
okay.
and then demolished on the 5th.
When did it go out to bid,
So-
Jennifer?
All right, so wait, we have demoed on the 13th.
Yeah, Rob, can I just ask one question? When did it go out to bid?
Yeah, I had
went
that
out
the
to bid
tax
on-
deed sale was on the 5th, but the demo was on the
That's correct.
13th.
I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it went out to bid on August 2nd.
Okay.
It was, the November 29th was,
The permit.
That was the day that the permit was obtained
Was
by the
November
demolition
29th.
contractor.
Yeah, but we don't know when it was awarded by the
Right.
board, or when the PO was issued before the
Correct.
permit was pulled. So.
December 5th was when the tax deed sale occurred, and then 12/13, it said demo occurred and photographed. Okay.
All right, so, whatever you guys want to do.
Well, I'll make a motion. I just want a couple of questions from Ms. Lopez. Ms. Lopez, I looked at the photos inside the packet we had. Did you go to the property and see the damage to this property before you bought it?
Yes, I have somebody who visit the house, and a flip company was interested in do the flipping.
And
of the
I saw
house.
what you paid for the property, which I thought was a very good deal. My thing is I think the Lacey property shouldn't have been spidered over. It should have went against the Webster property.
Commissioner, can I just-
Yep.
because the flip company, there was a flip company that, you got this from a flip company that's flipping houses? She's a
No.
flip company?
No, I'm a real estate investor, and I buy only tax deed in Florida.
But you bought it from a flip company that was flipping houses?
No, I bought from you, from the state.
But you're a flip company?
Yeah.
I would, either me or either a company, I had a buyer. I had a 45,000 contract
Okay.
signer to flip the house.
That's-
And when he went to do the inspection, where was the house? No house on the lot.
I got my answer now, Commissioner.
So
Yeah. And you did you have title insurance when you closed? Well, a title insurance on the property when you went to closing?
It's a company, it's an LLC.
Did you?
if I what? I don't understand.
Like, they look at who had the title and title insurance?
Yes, I have I got a link search that has 168 pages, and yes, I look at the search.
I'd look into that.
And I put the house. I hire a insurance for the house after I buy the house. So, but
Okay.
I didn't have time because I also, when I buy, I wait for a title. I wait to have the title in my hand to be able to do something, to hire insurance, to, to call you and say, okay, I have a rehab plan, I have plans for that property. And on the 13th, I didn't know about the demolition, and I didn't have the title yet.
I understand.
The recorded title.
I appreciate your sharing all that information with me. I think
Ms. Lopez, if you might have a seat, please.
I think what would be fair for the county taxpayer and as well as for Ms. Lopez is the money that went to the Lacey was taken against the Weber property, and that would be that she would get another deduction besides the fines of $4,110, and I would make a motion that the court cost or the abatement and court cost of $12,441 would be my motion to move forward.
741 or 441?
Oh, well, the problem, I originally had 741, but I thought when Terrence came up, it was 441. Was it 741? Okay, I amend that to the motion to be 12,741. I apologize.
There's the motion. Is there a second? All right. Board, any other discussion? All right, thank you. Seeing none, please vote. Is it? Okay, all right, we'll try. All right. Give it a shot.
So what's the total that you're paying, Mike?
12,741. Commissioner May,
I'm good.
have you punched?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I mean, it may not work anyway, but we'll see.
Probably not. Sometimes.
Ta-da, pass 5-0. All right, Ms. Lopez, so there was a reduction given by the board tonight of another substantial amount. The remaining amount is $12,741 that would need to be collected. That is money that the taxpayers are out, so. No, no, ma'am, the money would be $12,741 that would still need to be collected. Did the clerk's office receive proof of publication?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
I move that we waive the reading.
Thank you. All right, please vote.
Yep. Is it, are we on?
All right, item passes 5-0. Public hearing is 531, public hearing considering the repeal and replacement of Escambia County Code of Ordinances. Board, any discussion?
Do we have any speakers on this item?
We do not. I'd entertain a motion, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. 532, public hearing concerning amending the Atwood redevelopment plan. We have no speakers. Commissioner Bender?
Move the item A and B.
Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. 533, public hearing considering the vacation of an alleyway behind Block 77 at Figland Park.
We got any speakers, Mr. Chairman?
We do have a speaker on this. It's Ben Finley.
Is he waiving in support?
I'm not sure. Mr. Finley, you're welcome to come forward.
Yeah, I just wanted to be here in case I needed to ask a question.
So you support the?
Waiving in support?
I don't know exactly what it's about. Mr. Wiggins, another neighbor, is here as well. So we just wanted to know what would be, how would it affect us?
Okay. Can we flash up some visual? Do we have? Give us just a minute, Mr. Finley.
But you want to come up and just explain it to him, what we're doing?
Where do
Yeah,
you live?
That's fair to tell him.
Yeah. Or
Just
Stacy
see-
or Drew, if somebody's got something they can flash on the screen, we can.
So, yeah.
I live in that blue house.
Okay, so this is a platted alleyway within Figland Park?
Horace,
And what we are doing.
it's my understanding that this alleyway hadn't been used for any public purpose, correct?
Okay, and then Mr. Wiggins lives here.
Well, go, Horace, could you please come up, please? Oh, Stacy, okay.
Okay, so 5 feet, 5 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're not doing anything, we're just taking our interest out, so the alleyway will go away.
And it probably has to do with this guy here that's gonna.
And Drew, can you just let them know what would happen?
No, the-
Drew.
Let's give them a minute to confer. Let's just give them a minute to confer.
Horace, and we sent out notices to the residents, correct?
Sir. And then, Drew, can you just let them know the process of once we vacate, how they can go about going, yeah.
Mr. Finley, if you spend some time with staff, I mean, I will never vacate anything of public property if any resident contests it in my district. So, I mean, from my understanding, it hadn't been used, it's for the good, and you will get access to that property as well. And they can explain to, if you're contiguous to it, you will be a beneficiary of some of that property.
Cool.
Cool? Are we good?
Yeah, and I believe in this specific scenario, everyone that owns property in that block fronts on streets. So
Right.
It's nothing but a benefit to those, nothing but a benefit to those residents.
No, Horace explained it well to me because Commissioner Berry, you supported me in not giving away Rawson Lane. Unfortunately, others didn't, so I don't give away public property at all unless it benefits everybody else. All right, Mr. Chairman, I move the item.
All right.
Second.
That A, B, and C?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner May? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Second
All right.
stand.
Thank you. All right. If there's no discussion, please vote.
Mr. Finley, if you would just get with staff, they'll explain to you the process to make sure that you get your proper portion of the property. No, thank you.
It may not be a good practice to say trust your government. In this instance, if you're one of the residents in the block, this is, it can only be a good thing for you.
It works out for you.
So it is a good thing. Commissioner Bender.
Horace, can we just make sure we get staff to get with all three of these residents that are in my district tonight before they leave? Thank y'all for coming.
Is it there? Item passes 5-0. I'm tickled these meetings are videotaped forever, so that's great. Yes, absolutely. All right, my children can watch this effective
Oh, yeah,
government.
your
at
grandchildren
work.
will be very proud of their grandpa.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next meeting is 5:35, public hearing to consider the vacation of a drainage easement in Grand Oaks Farm subdivision. We do have a number of speakers aboard. The first speaker is Ernest Forrester. And I don't know if it's possible to flash up on the screen the map. Do we have the capacity to do that? No? Don't know? Okay.
Gentlemen, I live on a property on the north border of Grand Oaks. I bought the property in 2012, never had any problems with drainage. My property is the high side. Their property for Grand Oaks is the area that water naturally drains into. And this thing about the ditch is not going to work. I do not want a ditch across my backyard. And if you look at the paper that was sent out to me, the most of this ditch comes across my property. There's about 6 properties back there across my backyard. And this final house that is being built right now, it's not the final house. There's one more lot back there that hadn't been filled in. But the man that I talked to over there that owns the property was going to talk to someone about this. I went and talked to him first because I saw what was happening a while back, that the water was going to back up in my yard, which when he told me that the county says you got to build the house up high, built it high, they started doing his yard and making a nice yard and grass, and man, my backyard filled up. And number one, that ditch is something weird. That's no way that'd work. It looks to me like the county dropped the ball when they were doing this subdivision to start with and didn't consider drainage. There's a 15-foot ditch over to the east side of my property in the Grand Oaks. And now they're proposing a 25-foot wide ditch across the whole back of the property to drain into that 15-foot ditch. That didn't sound good. So what I'm saying, that ditch is going to cause mosquitoes, snakes, everything. These people all across there have children. You get a bunch of snakes in your backyard and children out there in their backyard, what you going to do? All right? So this is not the answer to this. Now, I do have one thing I wanted to say about an answer. You know, if you come with a problem, come with an answer. Why not use a just across the property that's there now in that subdivision, just use some swales. The property was draining well until this house built, and then it started draining across this last property owner's, last homeowner that built his house. Started draining across his property and was actually cutting a ditch in the field dirt he had put into his property. So if they would take each one of these properties, and like I said, there is 6 of them across the back of my yard. If each one had a little swales down between, the water would run right on just like it has been doing for years. And there's no need to put a 25-foot ditch in a place where there's no room. So it makes me ask another question. Who came up with this? The engineers that didn't do the drainage in the first place, I think, is who come up with it. Because if anybody went out there and looked, there's no room for them to dig a ditch there.
All right.
It won't work.
Mr. Forrester, your time is up. Very quickly before you have a seat. So your property is, you're the property on the east. As we're looking at the map, you're the larger property on the east?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm the larger property on the east, and
Okay.
so that makes, most of that ditch is going to be in my backyard, not in my backyard.
Yes,
From
sir.
what they're proposing, it's going to be on their property, but it's making, you can see the white top of the building in the back.
Yes, sir.
Just to the west end of that building in the back is where that new home is being built. It's the easterly property that's vacant of the two right there.
Yes, sir. All right. And very quickly, and then I'll have you have a seat. You spoke to somebody from the county when you got this in the mail?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Did you speak to somebody from the county when you received the flyer in the mail or the card in the mail?
No, I walked around to
Okay.
I was trying to catch that, Mr. Davis when he was building his house.
Okay.
I didn't like to call and start complaining, so I was going to talk to him. I finally drove around and caught him in the yard, and we talked, and we both went back and looked, and he said, well, maybe I can do this in the corner of my property. I said, that's fine with me.
Okay. Okay. Your time is up. I don't think what's being proposed is what you're thinking it is, but we'll talk about it in a minute. Thank you, Mr. Forrester. Thank you. Next speaker is Scott Garrett. Evening.
Yeah, so I live in Grand Oaks Farm Phase 1, so I'm just to the east and a little north of the vacant lot you see on the east side of the drainage easement. So my concern is that I have drainage issues already, especially with high rain events. There's 2 ponds behind me, one bordering Tate Road and one on Petty. So the vacant lot that you see there on the east side of the drainage easement is where that water flows from Grand Oaks Farm on the back side of the plat there. And we've had to clear that brush away over the years just to keep the water draining to the ditch bottom inlet that is on the east side of the drainage easement on the map. The last house you see to the east has a ditch bottom inlet in their backyard, and that's where all that water drains to. So that's my concern. If you vacate the easement and the county pulls out of there, then you have no, I guess, jurisdiction to go back and check the drainage easement and make sure it's draining correctly. As the previous speaker said, the natural drain of that property kind of goes down the backside of those homes. I actually looked at purchasing one of the lots some years ago and was told by the realtor that there was drainage structure in there and I wouldn't be able to put in a pool. I called the county yesterday in regards to this, and they told me that there's actually no structure there on that easement. The only structure there is the east side and the ditch bottom inlet, which flows south.
Right, which is not on the map, but the easternmost end of the red area, there is an easement that does have a pipe in it that runs south to the road. And
Right.
so what you were told yesterday is correct, and that's somewhat the rationale for what's going on. Right. But when we finish the speakers, I'll talk about it for a minute.
Okay, but
Thank
there
you.
is a natural drain with that
Yes, sir.
easement, and so I'm not sure if that would allow the property owners on those properties to just do whatever they want to. You know what I'm saying, on the backside to affect the drainage east of them. So I get the idea that, you know, I don't know what it does for the county. I don't know what the benefit to the county is to vacate the easement.
So, I mean, at its heart, the benefit is the county would not be doing a $1 million drainage project along the backside of those houses. That's because there's an easement that's not being utilized currently. So that's never been utilized. So are we going to go in and do a big project there? I don't know that we're going to do
Right.
that. So,
But it was designed for that, correct?
let me hear all the speakers, and then I'll.
Okay, well, that's my
discuss it.
concern.
Thank you,
Like I said,
Scott.
I've already
Yeah.
got drainage issues, so.
And I have talked to a couple of your neighbors on Brander
Right.
Mill, and the vacation of the easement to the west of the empty lot, the way the water flows is not going to affect anything, because there's nothing in the ground now. It's not going to affect anything to the east of it.
Right.
So that's.
But it's correct that it does not affect that ditch bottom inlet at all, right? I mean, the county still maintains
Yes,
that
correct.
drain.
That's correct, Scott, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
All right,
thank
next
you.
speaker is Mike Zingali.
My name is Mike Singali. Thank you guys for giving me a few minutes to talk about it. I live at 915 Brander Mill. I'm Scott's neighbors. And I live to the east of that. And I know I've talked to some of the people at the county already. And my yard literally turns into a lake. And it has for years. We purchased the home in February of 2017. And we had 6 flooding events during that period. The last one was in December, and literally, I could put a boat in my backyard. Since that time, we've eliminated the water, but we've been maintaining that gully behind us to get into the the rainwater system there. So as long as, my concern is not so much to the west of that. If the county's going to guarantee that it will not impede that, I'm fine with that. My big concern is to the east of that easement. Because literally, I've got pictures here that I can leave here. I'm not sure how to get them for you to see. But literally, my yard turns into a lake. And it's, if any property owner, if this is your backyard, you'd be as vocal as I am. You know, for what we spent on it. This is the first one. Now, you don't see it, but I've got these copies for you guys, where this is the one 4 months after we purchased a lot. And I've got videos of it as well. So as long as it doesn't impact that, and I've got the county guarantee, I'm fine with the easement, but guarantee that I have to make sure that this does not impede my home, as well as the other 5 homes along Brander Mill, the homes along, I think it's a Perry behind there on the south of there, as well as, you see the empty lot? You can't see, there's supposed to be a ditch going through there. So there's a lot more drainage that's going to be going through that area. So I just need a reassurance that it's not going to be impacting that area. Would you like these images?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, I have spoken to you the last couple of days. I had not spoken to you previously about any drainage issues in your yard, but anything, anything that's going on, I'll be happy to try to help.
Okay.
You know, the way the water flows, I mean, what you can't see on the image is, you know, where the lake is.
Sir.
I mean, the water is going to find the low area, and as you move to the north and to the east, as Mr. Forrester mentioned, that's the higher areas. So the vacation of something that, again, doesn't exist in the ground to the west is not, it's not going to change your circumstances at all.
Okay.
The county can help you change your circumstances if you're still having, drainage issues in your backyard. Based on the conversations that we've had the last couple of days, you haven't had issues for the last couple of years, so that's pretty good. Ideally, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zingali.
All right, I'm going to leave these all.
Okay,
Is here.
sure.
There's a couple more,
All right, thank you.
as well as I do have that USB drive.
I'll take it, sure.
All right. I got one more for you. Hang on one second, sir. There you go.
All right.
And on
Rich.
that has the videos before and after and everything else. So
Thank you.
thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Zingali. Next speaker is Phil Waltrip.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman. I too live in Grand Oaks Farms, and I have also experienced and am currently experiencing some flooding in my backyard. One of the primary concerns that I believe that we have is that the area east of the drainage culvert that's located in Lot 70, residents of 524 Tillage, has a storm grate in the back that most of our drainage from our area would flow if the county maintained the drainage easement, which currently and for years they have not. I spoke with representatives from the road department. I spoke to Kevin with the road department, and he acknowledged he didn't even know that that drainage easement belonged to the county. But he has been out there, and I have had a good conversation with him, and I can tell you I commend him for his patience in talking and how polite he has been on trying to work with this situation. He's been very good.
All right, you can pause this time for a second. So, board members, what Mr. Waltrip is referring to is there's a ditch from the eastern end of this red line, a ditch that runs to the northeast that terminates at Mr. Zingali's property, which is the property that has a pool in the backyard that you can see in the image. So there is a county ditch there, and it connects to the eastern end of the red line, and then there is also a county easement that runs south along that parcel, around that parcel line that would separate the home and the empty lot that runs to the cul-de-sac of Tillage, or the, not cul-de-sac, but the turn of Tillage. There's a manhole cover, and that is an active path of water. That water then continues, you can't see the whole neighborhood, but that water continues south, south, south to a lake that's 3 or 4, 5 streets to the south of there. So what Mr. Waltrip is referring to is there's a ditch line that kind of runs along the north end of that vacant lot that the county had, that needed to be cleaned out and needed to be maintained a bit better. And you know, based on what I was told today by Mr. Blanchard, that's certainly true. So again, the issue on the agenda tonight doesn't impact any of this, but it has increased awareness of something that probably does need to be tended to. That is a good thing, even though it's not what's on the agenda. So I apologize, Phil. You've got your time back. Go ahead.
Commissioner, I appreciate your active role in trying to help us resolve this. I don't believe that
I will probably be your neighbor one day, so yeah, I'm trying. Yes.
I don't believe that we're really opposed to the vacating of the easement to the west of that drain that's currently, because that primarily would impact the people to the north of that property and the rest of the people on Tillage. What we are really concerned with is that drainage that is behind the property or the house of 524 Tillage. I've just given the deputy a copy of a picture that I'd like for each of y'all to see. It's a pretty picture. The residents of that property has taken the drainage grate that's back there where the water is supposed to be draining and has created a very pretty sculpture, I guess you might say, or a property improvement at the expense of the drainage. What he has done, he has covered up the drainage grate with some sort of a fabric that is porous, and then put pea rock and river rock and large stones on top of the grate, covering the grate up, and then he's placed a very attractive bird bath in the middle of that. That is our primary concern, because it's not designed to do that. It's designed to be a drainage.
Yeah. All right, Phil, your time is up.
Thank you very much. I
Yes, sir. Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
So I have seen the pictures that Mr. Waltrip is referring to, and based on conversations with Kevin Blanchard as well as Kevin's conversations with the county attorney and the county administrator, he's put decorative, the homeowner has put some type of decorative rock over it, like river rock or something over the grate, because it is in his backyard. But from the county engineer's point of view, that's not stopping the water. Perhaps it's slowing the water, maybe, but he would be in that scenario where the water is slowed moving down there. I mean, he would be the primary. It would be primarily to his detriment to do so, because it would, instead of going down the inlet, it would accumulate in his yard. And so, there is. It's like I said, it's brought to light an issue. There appears to be an easement that kind of connects the two phases of the development that does need to be maintained by the county in a more frequent manner to make sure that the water that's coming downhill from Brander Mill catches that inlet and then moves to the road at Tillage. That's what's intended, and that's what's there. And to Mr. Forrester's point, when as I said, that I thought your concerns would be assuaded to a degree, because what's the item on the agenda for the board tonight is to vacate that easement, which would mean the county would not be doing any work in that area, which the county does not intend to do any work in that area. So this would preclude there from being a ditch that runs along there. This is hypothetically the best action the board could take that would make sure that a ditch did not get built in between your property and the properties on Tillage. So I wanted you to have an opportunity to say everything that you were going to say, but I felt like once it was clear what the board was considering doing, that it would actually be something you would view positively, because now that wouldn't happen. You would not have that ditch line on the south side of your property. And board, as I kind of flippantly mentioned when one of the speakers was speaking, we do own property in the neighborhood. I'm going to have to abstain from the vote. So I see I've got a colleague out, but perhaps he'll make it back, perhaps not. But that's all the speakers. I don't know if there's any comments or questions of me. I can try to help. Joy is here. She's caught up to some degree on the issues. I know she's had some conversations with Kevin Blanchard, who's been on the property a couple of times. Like I said, as the conversations went the last few days, I understand, people get cards in the mail, and it's always concerning, because, you never know what is trying to be done to you, I guess. But as the conversations moved forward, it did bring up a couple of things that probably need to be dealt with in the neighborhood, but they don't necessarily relate to what we're talking about looking at tonight.
So Commissioner Berry?
Yes, sir.
You can't vote on this, but it's in your district?
Yes.
But you would like to see this action move forward?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't believe there's any interest in this property in terms of a drainage project that the county could do that you would support?
I mean,
They don't want a ditch, but maybe buried pipe or French drain or something, I don't know.
I wouldn't mind $1 million or $2 million drainage project behind my house to make sure it never flooded, but I don't know that that's good public policy either.
Sure.
So,
no, I get that.
So kind of in a situation where either we vacate the easement that doesn't cost the county or the taxpayers anything, or we do a project which I would then directly benefit from. I don't know that that's got a great look either. So no, it's in my opinion in the best interest to vacate the easement, to remove the county, any county responsibility for the area, while maintaining the easement that runs to the south that's not on the screen, and also maintaining that easement that connects the two phases to a greater degree than it has been. It doesn't sound like we've maintained it at all. So, but yes, I do support the item, Commissioner.
All right, if there's no further discussion, then I'm prepared to move it in the affirmative.
All right, thank you. All right, please vote. I apologize if there's no other questions. All right, thank you. Item passes 4-0 with one abstention. Commissioner Berry had to abstain. And my disclosure, I, Stephen Berry, hereby disclose on January 9, 2024, a measure came before my agency which inured to my special private gain or loss. The measure before my agency and the nature of my conflicting interest in the measure is as follows. Escambia County Board of County Commissioners meeting January 9, 2024, 5:35, public hearing to consider the vacation of a drainage easement located in Grand Oaks Farm subdivision presents a conflict of interest pursuant to statutes 112.3143 Florida statutes, or the appearance of a conflict of interest pursuant to statute 286.012 Florida statutes, because my wife Ellen and I own property in Grand Oaks Farm subdivision.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to move to rescind the vote. I think you have to read it before the vote. So,
I didn't see anybody nod.
so,
Okay.
yeah,
Apologize.
so I move to rescind the vote.
I'll second it.
Please vote to rescind. The downside of not sitting beside the county attorney, I suppose. All right. Rescind the vote, passes 4-0. All right, entertain a new motion.
I move the item in the
Thank you.
affirmative.
Second. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Commissioner May had seconded the first time, but I'll second it.
All right, Commissioner Bender, second. All right, before we vote,
And you've read it. I mean, I'd say you've read it. Is it good that
better
he's already
read
read
it
it,
again.
or does he have to read it again?
The interest is that he and his wife own a lot in the affected area.
okay,
That's it, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Please vote. Item passes 4-0 with Commissioner Berry abstaining, and Madam Council, I have the abstention form. Thank you. My friend Cody, yes, sir, you've got the floor.
Cody Lee on behalf of the clerk and comptroller. There's two items on the clerk's report. The first is a recommendation concerning acceptance of TDT collection data for the October 23 returns, which were received in November. The collections were $1,537,943. That represents a 1% increase over November of 22. And the second item is a recommendation concerning minutes and reports prepared by clerk to the board's office. There's 4 subparts to
Thank you.
item 2.
Move the clerk's report.
Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Horace?
Yes, sir. For tonight, we have the 545 public hearing concerning the adoption of a amendment of a future land use map, small-scale map amendment for review and adoption.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any speakers on this one?
We have no more speakers the rest of the evening.
Okay.
We have had a pretty slow go so far, but maybe we can speed it up a hair. This is in District 5. I am supportive, Commissioners.
All right, I move the 545.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. If there's any questions, seeing none, please vote. Item passes 5-0. Horace?
The next item is the rezoning case Z 2023-26 from AGR to rural residential. Planning board made a recommendation for approval.
I move the item in the affirmative. No speakers, right?
All right. Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Horace.
546 is the adoption of the rezoning map for Z 2023-26.
Thank you. Entertain the 546.
Move the 546.
Thank you. Thank you. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Horace.
The next item is the recommendation for approval for Sagewood final plat.
I move the final plat.
Items A through D.
A through D.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Horace.
The next item is the recommendation concerning Turtle Creek for final plat recommendation with a revised amendment that was sent this evening, items A, B through C, with a special notation for Turtle Creek.
All right. You say A through C with
A
a
through
special,
C, yes,
with a
sir.
special notation. All right, Board, this is in District 5. I'm supportive of it with the,
C through D, yes, sir.
yeah. I'm supportive of it with the amendment.
All right, move the item A through D.
Yes, A through D.
Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Horace.
And we do have February 8th consent agenda.
Move the consent agenda.
Effervesced. Item passes 5-0. Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, there's 6 items on the technical public service consent agenda. There are no changes. There are no speakers.
Second.
Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, there are 13 items on the budget finance consent agenda. There are no changes. There are no speakers.
Move the item, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Please vote. Item passes 5-0. Mr. Administrator. Thank you.
There
Madam
are two,
Counsel.
there are 2 items on the county attorney's report. I can answer any questions you may have.
No speakers.
I move the county attorney's report, Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
Please vote. Item passes 5-0.
That's the way to finish.
Madam Counsel.
Concludes my report.
Thank you. Board.
Mr. Chairman, I want to
Yes,
just
sir.
add one thing, because I have to do it before the 16th. If I could add out of discretionary funds, the thousands to Wreath Across America for Kiwanis, because I think the deadline's actually the 16th, and I didn't add that.
Okay.
It's a reimbursement.
But you, oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay,
I
I'll
mean,
bring it.
It wouldn't meet the.
It wouldn't meet the 16th deadline. Okay, I'll waive it.
Okay. All right. Hearing nothing else. Adjourn.